blocking Canadians' fundamental rights and freedoms. Not a whisper from this so-called freedom fighter, Mr. Speaker. When is he going to condemn the use of the notwithstanding clause preemptively?
Prime Minister and their costly coalition vote to triple the carbon tax on people's home heating bills. The Prime Minister treated himself to a luxurious vacation and a wonderful night of singing in a palatial hotel lobby, one of the swankiest hotels on planet Earth. He then spent $6,000 per night on a single hotel room. Who stayed in that room?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, while the Conservatives continue to focus on me, we're going to stay focused on supporting Canadians, whether that's with measures the Conservatives oppose to deliver rental supports for low-income Canadians, or whether that's to make sure that all Canadians can send their kids to the dentist. But we heard the Conservative leader for months talking about freedoms for Canadians, talking about rights and freedoms, and now that a government is preemptively blocking Canadians' fundamental rights and freedoms, not a whisper from this so-called freedom fighter, Mr. Speaker. When is he going to condemn the use of the notwithstanding clause preemptively?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Nice try. Nice try. He's very clever. But here a moment ago, I asked who stayed in the $6,000 a room hotel, $6,000 a night hotel room. And he said that I was focusing on him. Well, I guess that we got our answer then. Well, to avoid taking blame for having spent that money on himself while the Canadians are suffering. Can he confirm it was him that had that night?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, while Conservatives continue to play rhetorical games, the reality is Canadians need a Conservative Party that stands up for them, which is simply something they're not getting. They're not stepping up on rental supports for low-income renters. They're not stepping up on dental care for kids who need it. And they're not even standing up for the fundamental rights and freedoms that the Leader of the Opposition made a full campaign out of, and now he's nowhere to be seen on standing up for Canadians' fundamental rights and freedoms. Will he condemn the notwithstanding clause preemptive use?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This from the guy that robbed a record amount of Canadian workers' paychecks when he imposed the highest inflation in 40 years on them. And there was no negotiation for workers. In fact, they all took an across-the-board pay cut without ever giving their permission. And now, the position of his government is that they should have their pay capped. The Governor of the Bank of Canada told CEOs that there should be no pay hike for Canadian workers to compensate them for this Prime Minister's inflation. Does he agree with the Governor of the Bank of Canada that workers don't deserve a pay hike? Yes or no?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
He's actually trying to pretend he's standing up for workers right now when he is refusing to condemn a suspension of their most fundamental rights to collective bargaining. Mr. Speaker, workers' ability to negotiate a better future for themselves and their families is core to this country's middle-class success. Why is he not condemning this attack on fundamental rights and freedoms of workers?
Condemning the attack this Prime Minister has undertaken on Canadian workers by giving them the highest inflation in 40 years, eating up their paychecks so that they cannot afford food. It is this Prime Minister who has sent 1.5 million Canadians to the food bank in the month of March. This Prime Minister who's given them record credit card debt. This Prime Minister who has forced 1 in 5 of them to skip meals because they can't afford to eat. And now his Governor of the Bank of Canada says that those workers don't deserve a raise. I condemn those comments. Will he?
Hear, hear, hear. Right Honourable Prime Minister.
one of the most fundamental rights available to workers in this country is the ability to fight for better rights, better opportunities, better pay, better working conditions. And that happens at the bargaining table, Mr. Speaker. What has happened is they have been stripped of that right to bargain, to negotiate, to talk about a better future for themselves and their families by the preemptive use of a measure designed to suspend and override their fundamental rights and freedoms. But the Leader of the Opposition has refused 6 times to condemn that in this House.
Honourable member for Burnaby South.
Canadian families are struggling with the rising cost of energy, whether it's putting gas in their cars or paying for their home heating. All the while, these oil and gas companies are raking in record profits, something the Biden administration is referring to as war profiteering, and frankly it is. What's this Liberal government's response? To put even more public money in the pockets of these highly profitable companies. When will the Prime Minister take a stand and protect workers and make these wealthy companies pay what they owe on their windfall of profits and invest that into helping Canadians pay their energy bills?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, with putting a price on pollution right across the country that puts more money in the pockets of families in jurisdictions where it applies, we're actually sending clear price signals to industry and to private sector that they have to invest more in decarbonization. This is something that we're focusing on ensuring that these record profits from the oil and gas industry go into investing in decarbonization, go into CCUS technology to decarbonize, invest in better opportunities and jobs for the future while we fight climate change across the country.
For Burnaby South.